Hello everyone, I'm Iron TV Women with you, and today I want to talk about something that many have already talked about, and the fact that the Dom studio fell off. But before you say that this video has already been shot by many people, and that there are many of them in the English language and Russian fandom, I will say that my video is different from the ones you have always watched. In fact, my topic is not quite that carriage-like, not the fact that the Dom studio has slipped. And what would happen if I became a co-author of Rex? That is, the author of Dom Studio. And before we start watching, please leave a comment, put a like, and subscribe to the channel. It is not difficult for you, but I am very pleased. And before we get into the main topics of this video, I want to say right away, yes, that's basically if I wrote a fanfiction on Dom Studio, namely redesign of the entire Dom Studio. Like if, for example, Rex decided that they say skibidi toilets are very hype and how it should be pressed to the end. So let's do Multiverse 2.0. We're going to refine some of the scenes and we're going to keep them as they are, but we're going to change something very drastic. Today, I will tell you some ideas that would help this multiverse a lot, thereby finalizing some points that raise a lot of questions, or for me personally, it seems, unacceptable. Which are very unacceptable, to be honest. And I will say right away that I do not hate Dom Studio. Thanks to this studio, we got the first multiverse. And over time, several popular projects, for example, the same Monster Up, which now pleases us with new cool series. To begin with, I would like to raise the topic, characters. And I immediately move on to the topic that Dom Studio just began to hate. I'm sure everyone has heard it, namely, the immortality of the clocks. I myself agree with this. The clock are a really cool race, intriguing and thoughtful, but it has a huge disadvantage as it slows down time, what they were originally conceived as a big problem for the series. Since they are too much. Strong. Da Fook Boom himself criticized this, especially in the character of Sinister, since stopping time is too unbalanced. So what would I do if I left this power? But at the same time, I kind of underestimated it. Everything is very simple, in fact. Here are the clocks. This clock. Yes, Watson, I'm a genius. So the clock has 12 hours. We have 9 clocks. So why not give each clock an hour? And now you will say, but you yourself said that there are 9 of them. I'll tell you. Well, yes, you can make it so that 3 hours have disappeared somewhere. Died. Dead. Sinister is one of them, etc. So let's close this topic right away. And how will it work? It's very simple. Take, for example, Big Clock. He has 7 hours. Now, every 7 hours of this time, namely evening and day, he will be able to use this ability, but at other hours, what can't he do? Exactly. He can't. If Clock tries to use his power at the wrong time, he will feel hellish torment, pain, and possible death. For example, what happened in a special episode where the Big Clock used his power too many times, thereby dying. This just a little underestimates the abilities of the clock, and by doing so, it will also show interesting interactions, since each clock needs to think about each of his actions in order to use his power exactly at the right time. But even so, this power would still be unbalanced if you left the weapons, right? In fact, I thought about this topic for a long time and came to the only right decision. We have never been shown how this weapon is filled with energy or how these same bullets are created. As for me, you can create a cutscene where the scientist clocks collects this energy, showing how dangerous it is. You can even add a little blood, showing for example how his arm is torn to pieces when some bullet fails. As for me, this would show how dangerous it is to create them. And to this topic, I want to add that my clock race will be on the third side of the conflict. Why? I personally believe that this race, which has a powerful force, which hides so many secrets, is just the risky to go to war. As we were shown, the scientist was able to copy some of their clock technology with ease, and what would happen if they found one of them? It will be a disaster. I would personally show how Chief Clock did not treat the Alliance very well. They have a good relationship with the Drillmen, as they are living beings. But those who are a drone, in which a person was possessed, they will treat almost with contempt. And only gradually, some of his children will be able to start communicating. For example, the same big clock and the big speaker man, it is their beginning of mutual friendship that will show the main chief what the worldview is, will only lead him to the grave. Speaking of the grave, we remember that the chief died, and that I personally didn't like that Alarm Clock did this because of Future Clock, not of his own free will. As for me, it's a very bad idea. It would be a strong moment to show how Alarm Clock Man decides to do it himself, but Future Clock refused to force him at the last moment. It was his best friend, and he did not want his friend to commit such a terrible crime. But then why, when he told him the memories of the conversation, he remembered it and realized that, in fact, he would have to kill his father. In fact, the clock that is on the shoulder of our dear alarm clock plays a role here. I believe they have enough, a wide range of possibilities, and these watches are essentially something. With the right hand of the chief, from what he has some goodies that can be used only in alarm clock. This will show how strong he is and will show how hard it was for him to perform this action. But he understands that it is necessary. And the main chief understood this, since he himself gave him a knife. And he himself, in Morse code, asked to kill him. This would be a very strong point. And for our disassemblers, it would be a great taste since it is necessary to disassemble Morse code, from which I personally believe that this will make the series a little more interesting. But this is my personal opinion. What do you think? You can disagree with me, I will understand this, since this scene will be difficult to do in terms of script, since many will not be interested in Morse code. Although, knowing our dear disassemblers, they will find fault with every little thing. And such a trifle as Morse code would be a great profit for them. And so, we can say that we have analyzed the first main problem of this series. And what is the second one? Oh, these are our dear pencil men. Already the thought that pencil, wooden, hell, in a robot, that's already weird. You know, I can say that the design of a large pencil looks really high quality, as well as the bosses, or the boss, or the father, or the godfather. Okay, it doesn't matter. But you know what? Your ordinary agents. They are just terrible. Their clothes are cool, I like their style. But my god, pencil? In earnest? You know, seriously, I could easily take a stylus. You know, if I were to make a script, I would immediately not be pencil men, but stylus men. This would be more logical, more correct. And it looked much more concise with the series. I can even show you an example of how to make different styluses out of different characters. And even make a joke that the main boss, well, that is our creator. It would be an Apple stylus that is all black, and it is the only white one. Somehow it sounds Russian, and it would be very interesting. Many people say that it would be better to be print men, but for me personally, print men too much. Rough in terms of design, even the sewing men would look much better than these print men. Printers. Really healthy. And you haven't seen printers at the factory yet? They are really huge. And put this colossus on such a frail body? As for me, the main fatal mistake. Although many will disagree with me, saying that the same TVs have a TV, but damn. Guys, a TV doesn't weigh as much as a printer. You will say, as with the example of an ordinary working printer, so this will already be the nail of the coffin because an ordinary working printer will not be able to print what pencil men do. Only 3D printer, and 3D printers are much heavier. And you will immediately say, but your pensions are also not very good. Stylus men can be said to be almost defenseless, since they cannot use their abilities, but as soon as TV men, or the same poly, is next to them, then they will be able to easily take advantage of it. All TV men's need is to connect to the POV to which cameraman is watching the battle. After that, stylus man just with the help of a tablet, which they will constantly have in their hands, connect to the TV, and then draw something on it. And this something will just be reflected in the camera lens, from which this object will materialize. And the camera slightly illuminated with green energy, which symbolizes just the same stylus men's. As for me, it would be much more interesting than the bullshit of a pencil on a wooden stick. But still, this is my decision. And to create such guys, nothing complicated is required. Just remove the pencil and replace it with a stylus. And that's it. You get a more concise race than the same pencils, and they will look normal against the background of the same drill men and clock men. But I will also say that for TV men, it will give a fresh breath, since in this series, we practically did not see them in the actions, only Polly, Big Pencil, who have a really interesting chemistry of relationships. So, in my opinion, this will give more incentive to involve all factions, showing their viewers that they don't care about each faction, and each will have its own allotted time. Speaking of time, our video clip, Walk to the End. This can be said to be just an experiment that I personally want you to try out on yourself. And they would have said, I should continue my thoughts. Or is it better for me to throw the script in the trash? I want to hear it personally. If you really liked this video, then I will create the second part, where I will tell you that it would be better not to kill the Drillman race. And why? And who would want to kill them? And who would let them live? Interesting. Then subscribe to the channel and wait for a new video. Or still, this stupid thought. And all this is a stupid fairy tale. And the Dom Studio itself is just a parallel universe that we all fell into, and it doesn't really exist, like all of us. What the hell did I say? Okay, it doesn't matter. Well, see you soon.